Happy Sunday morning. I'm backing out of my driveway and on my way to church. Today is class number 2 of my Hebrew class. I'm the teacher. I'm going to try my very best to finish at least one more episode of our Dinosaur Dig with Mrs. B. There might accidentally be 2 more episodes of the Dinosaur Dig because Mrs. B has been doing some lessons with some of her students, her friends, kids, and her tutoring kid, using some of the things we did in the Dinosaur Dig, and I want to show you that too. So just stay tuned because hopefully we'll be right back. Hi, welcome to Gigi's place. I'm so glad you came. Come on in. Let's have some fun. It's a Stegosaurus dinosaur. It's Gigi's favorite. Where's the Triceratops?
There's a Triceratops.
Yes, it is. And where's our T-Rex? Where's a baby T-Rex?
It's a baby dinosaur.
Is it a baby T-Rex dinosaur?
It's a baby dinosaur.
Okay, everything's just a dinosaur today.
And I said, come up, we might find a dinosaur. So I gave her the right tools, a trowel, a brush, and a little pastiche. That's a French word for a pick.
Mm-hmm. This would be just huge stretches of time. And you're finding all of this compressed into one lens, one layer of one formation. And so you're finding that others have to be finding that. And so they will say, well, this is just an anomaly, or somehow this layer, got thrust under or something like that. Instead of just saying, look, let's just stop thinking evolutionary for a second and let's just look at this as we're finding it and let's put that out there. But that's not happening.
That is not happening because there is too much evidence that it's designed, it's created, that all of this is the result of a flood. And if you open it, even in the classroom for discussion, you're going to come back to a creator, going to come back to the Bible, the biblical record. And that is ruled out of any scientific discussion. And that's tragic because all of the great scientific disciplines were established by creationists as a result of reading the Bible, reading the Word of God, and recognizing order in God's creation. Yet all of these scientific disciplines have been hijacked mid-air, mid-flight, and the entire world, the entire education system of our globe has assumed evolution to be true, even in most major Christian universities.
But when those fountains blew up, the release of energy was just traumatic. You couldn't, if you were, say, the crack is the mid-Atlantic Ocean ridge. It's like a seam of baseball, goes all the way around the world. It took it 7 hours to do that. It ran 7 miles a second, so 7 hours to completely circle the globe. Well, if you were 1,000 miles from the crack, the shock wave of this pressure being released would have ripped your flesh off your body, would have scalded you with water that was supercritically
atomic
hot.
Activity.
And then it would have been radioactive, like Dr. Boss said, the water would have been so radioactive. So animals thousands of miles away, that water fell as rain, because it also rained, but that water fell as rain was radioactive, so they were drinking it and dying, and then buried by rapid succession. The waters rose for 150 days, then the fountain stopped and the rain stopped. But Noah and his sons and daughter-in-laws, they still had to stay for another year while all this settled out. And then, as Dr. Boss said, in the days of Pele, which are anywhere from 285 to 300 years, depending on the genealogy, the earth started to shift and all these continents started pulling apart and dragging huge things. Then these mountains, like a freight train, they were flat, and all of a sudden, boom, they run into this solid Pacific plate, which is not moving, but yet you're a freight train and you've been going up to 40 miles an hour, and it just starts pushing these mountains up. Well, as it's pushing them up, it's grinding on that mantle, which is creating tons and tons of cubic miles of volcanic magma. Well, fluid cannot be compressed. You can compress gas and air, but you can't compress fluid. So this fluid built up, shoved these mountains up. Well, then what happens? Pressure has to be relieved. Then you started having these volcanic eruptions. Well, as the fluid releases, the mountains start to sink, and valleys start to form, and hills and stuff like this is just literally shot up, all by hydraulics. If the Indians were here, and many of them were, they had earthquakes. They didn't measure because they didn't have the Richter scale. But can you imagine you were on a plane one day and the next day, this is a huge mountain right there, and you felt it, and you were hunting 40 miles away? Or how about you were on the Arizona plateau, and you were 100 miles away, and you heard the ground shake and rumble for about 2 weeks. Then it just stopped. You would have got up, and anybody would have said, let's go see what happened. And they walk up, and they're standing on the rim of the Grand Canyon going, holy cow, what created this? Well, when you lift continents up, you're going to lift oceans, and small inland seas are going to get lifted because water's going to get lifted like land. Well, then when that hydraulic lifts out and you have a blowout of volcanoes and that starts settling, guess what? You carry in water and you tip it, you get a breach. And Dr. Wald-Brown's a breach theories. We were at the Grand Canyon in 2017. It's really amazing because I was going through their souvenir books and I found somebody else who said that the Grand Canyon was probably created by breach lakes and not the Colorado River, because Colorado River couldn't have cut the side canyons and barred canyons, couldn't have done all that. But when you go to the Grand Canyon, and you have to go, to go, there's the layers, and then all of a sudden you see them twist and snap. There's V's, and also guess what? There's volcanoes and lava flows in the Grand Canyon. Yeah. All of these things the geologists just shake their head at because they're thinking millions of years, and they said, well, how can the rock up there be older than the rock down here? And they talk about the layers.
So the V's
the only
are
place
definitely the pressure coming up and just pushing the layers.
All hydraulics. If you understand hydraulic dynamics, you can understand how all this came about. Because it settled and settled and settled because what happened? It stopped moving, it started cooling. And then because pressure has to be released, that fluid that is all lava, liquid rock, because it grind on it and it just turns that the moho discoviscus and the mantle rubbing against each other create a lot of volcano, a lot of pressure, a lot of gas pressure, a lot of water pressure we still have today. Why is it today? And I just had a well drilled on my property. We went down 87 feet and the water shot up about 3 feet and then it settled down to ground level. And I don't even pump. I got water right there. Why is this spring coming out?
Yeah.
Well, it's coming out from high up, but it's pressure. Pressure up there, pushes here, comes out there.
Here's a little behind the scenes action. There's Gigi. She's talking to Dr. Ball, who's the lead archaeologist on this particular dig. And we have volunteers from all over the place. That gentleman there is Roger, and his dog is an Australian Ridgeback, I believe. And he's been doing a good job on the excavation site. The trailer there has different supplies that are needed and could possibly be the trailer that takes the dinosaur bones back. This gentleman over here by the four-wheeler, his name is Sarge. He's been with Dr. Ball for a very, very long time. The mountain formations that you see there's just a very small example. That would have been flat. If you can just lay that mountain down, you would be standing on the same flat layers that we're on. But seismic activity buckled it up. So that's how they're able to see these different layers of sediment laid down in rapid succession as just supersonic explosions and eruptions would have caused seismic activity, and tidal waves would have come in and laid down these layers in rapid succession. The knoll that we're on is believed to be like a log jam of sorts, where this slurry of flooded volcanic dinosaur and other animals and plant material would have just come together quickly and been laid down, and that's how they're able to find so many different varieties of dinosaurs in one place. But there's a campsite here. The chairs there are around the campfire, that's where these volunteers are literally cooking their meals. We have an amazing piece of equipment that was donated to us. This is a gator. My husband, Mr. Chad, he knows all about these gators. They're powerful little guys. That little guy gets everybody up the mountain. It might not look much from here, but it is a trip. And then there's various campers scattered around. Every year they have a different number of volunteers that come. These people bring their tents and their campers. Many of them are professionals, and some of them, like me, are just completely amateurs, fascinated and ready to help in any way that we can. This is my mom's very own personal vehicle right out here in the middle of Colorado. This vehicle has gotten us 1,000 miles from home and into this wilderness area. As you can see, it is desert type. It's bare over there because a lightning strike caused a fire out here last year that literally burnt all of the trees. Of course, if you're got a sizable amount of people camping together, you're going to need a porta potty or two. So, beautiful day. We had a storm last night, and we are all preparing to go up this mountain. The Morrison Formation I mentioned in the previous video, that formation literally stretches across 11 states up into Canada that they're able to find dinosaurs. All right, here goes the first group going up the mountain. Here we go. See you at the top, he said to his kids. Yes, we do have kids. There they are, and they have done a great job. They were up there with us yesterday. So much fun. The little gator, you can see it still moving off in the distance. It is going to go up the hill. What they're driving through down there is grass taller than I am. These are the little gallstones inside of a dinosaur belly. The tinier they are, like these, the longer they were in the dinosaur belly. This one that's a different color, you can really tell the best. They have a waxiness to them, so they don't sound the same when you're digging through the mountain and your pickaxe hits them. They're very smooth. They have a concave surface to them because they rub up against the other rocks. Because a dinosaur belly is a lot like a rock tumbler or a rock polisher. These are very tiny examples of gastroliths. Here's an example of a much larger gastrolith. It's broken, but it fits together perfectly. See the waxy appearance, the smooth corners, and the concave parts where it would have rubbed up against other rocks in the dinosaur's belly.
Stay close, okay?
This is a little wash pot for all of the gastroliths that we're washing today. We have lots of good helpers. And this is a very important scientific tool that is used for washing gastroliths. This is a petrified tree. This is the root ball that I'm holding. The base of the tree there, it got smushed. The shiny stuff is coalified, and then black quartz. So the really dark stuff is the coalified, and the shiny stuff is the black quartz. And of course, no telling how old this tree is that I'm holding in my hand. All right, the second specimen is glacier. This is the concrete mixture that happens when volcanoes erupt, and they come down with all the rock and the lava and hit the air and the super hot water. It turns into this concrete mixture. Sometimes this concrete mixture is around a dinosaur bone, so that's why we have to grab them and check them out. But this one's just a good sample of it.
Well, guys, I am hard at work editing Dino Dig 3, and you know what? I've got way more video than I can get in a little 15-minute clip, so we're gonna have a Dino Dig 4. Stay tuned.